It's been Spain without the S quite a few times playing F1 24 this year, but today we definitely have the S as we're here for the Spanish Grand Prix in Season 3. It's part number 46 today of this F1 24 career mode. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Canadian Grand Prix, then definitely go check that one out before you see this one. It was a very close battle with Charles Leclerc at the start, but by the end it was utter McLaren and Lando Norris specifically domination as we faced major ERS problems, the ERS being stuck on for a large majority of the back end of the race, draining our battery, and the car really limped home to the end and literally limped over the line and losing that second position to Sergio Perez. And very nice timing off the back of that disaster in that race where I felt like we went from a race win to, well, when you really look at it, a bit of a disaster. Obviously, George Russell suffered an engine failure, so again, I am still the only man scoring the majority of the points this season for the Silver Arrows. And well, yeah, we were absolutely left mystified right at the end when Perez got us and we couldn't even get a second place to limit the damage. Basically, we've got a secret meeting, and this is a continuation from the first meeting we had with Aston Martin, of course, earlier in the season, very early in the season, really. We had only just joined Mercedes at that point, and I was very surprised we had a secret meeting, and especially from our bitter rivals from last season in Season 2, where we obviously faced off against Fernando Alonso all the way down to the last race of the season. But yeah, they are courting us, they are chasing after us, and I feel like they maybe sense a bit of frustration going on with, you know, where I'm at with Mercedes. We've had so many things coming at us, and we've just had to try and, you know, jump over them like different hurdles and try and make the best of it, rather than actually feeling comfortable with the situation we're in. Which is why I am going to continue the talks with Aston Martin. Obviously, in real life now, we know Adrian Newey is set to join Aston Martin. So here in the game, it is already 2026. So Newey will be having his influence. So into future seasons, maybe Aston Martin Honda is the place to be. But as I left these talks, something happened that I fully wasn't expecting and ready for.
Oh, good news and bad news. The good news is the meeting went well. The bad news, your current employers got wind of it and they aren't thrilled. Get ready to grovel. This might set back your recognition with them a bit.
So for the first time ever, for me, for anyone, I don't think I've ever seen anyone get this. We got caught having a secret meeting. Mercedes and Toto Wolff, they are aware that we were talking to Aston Martin. They're not impressed. Apparently my recognition went down and we're going to have to try and do some, you know, sweet talking to get it back up. I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to lie. It's a bit of a piss take. I came to the team as a reigning world champion and I wasn't higher recognition. So honestly, I can't even tell if my recognition's gone lower or not. It went from maybe 46 to 44. Massive difference. But then you look at the actual performance and we're 6-0ing George Russell. I mean, look at his face there. He is clinically depressed. He actually might be a couple of DNFs away from just wanting to end it all here in Formula 1, to be honest. Yeah, we are absolutely dominating Russell. Didn't think we were going to be, but yeah, his AI counterpart has really been quite a letdown compared to in real life. And the annoying thing is, he holds all the power when it comes to upgrading this Mercedes car. I cannot buy now a single upgrade on this Mercedes because I don't have the recognition. So he needs to pull up his socks. He needs to start performing, earning his own R&D. I almost wish I could transfer my R&D to him so he can actually buy some stuff, but no. So we're stuck in this hole where other teams are performing and upgrading. I mean, look at the entire Formula B pack. They're all closing up towards us. Like, if we aren't careful, and if Russell doesn't actually pull his finger out, by about Baku, like round 51 of this entire career mode series, that B pack could actually be catching up to us. We could actually be a complete midfield team if Russell doesn't actually start upgrading this car. Red Bull making upgrades to try and counteract the disaster class they had in Canada. Big movements from Williams and Haas. And yeah, we continue to be as close as ever with Ferrari and Aston Martin as we go into qualifying.
It's a Catalonian qualifying for you today. Welcome along to Spain, to Barcelona, and wherever you are in the world. Do you feel the need? The need for speed?
If the ERS trains aren't going to make me end it all from this game, what will are those cheesy puns from Crofty. Brilliant. Love that. I forgot about that one at the Spanish Grand Prix, and I kind of wish I never remembered it and never came across it ever again. But anyway, we go into qualifying, of course, here. We know the car can perform well. It did perform well over one lap in Canada, but equally at the same time, we need to be careful because with the short qualifying, a lot can change at the end of the session. The track evolution is pretty crazy, but right now we go P1. Alonso quite nicely in the Aston Martin. P2 there. Russell now goes second place as we get to the very end of the session. The checkered flag is flying, and these are everyone's last lap. So Russell has maybe heard me and is actually performing for once, although I feel there's more to come from everyone. Bottas is P5. Then Fernando Alonso goes and takes provisional pole. We're down to 4th place. Albon goes provisional pole. What? Huh? Sorry? Albon pole? We're down in 4th place. We didn't improve, I don't think, or very marginally. Oh my God. Alexander Albon and also Ocon as well. What? It's a 1-3 for Williams. We saw they brought some upgrades, but nothing close enough to get pole and 3rd place, I thought. Well, I wasn't lying. Things do really change at the end of quali. Still a bit on the back foot, Red Bull are. Verstappen, though, much better than Canada. At least in the top 10 he qualifies. Both McLarens looking a bit stronger relative to Ferrari, you would say, and Red Bull. But everyone's looking weaker relative to Williams. 1-3. Alonso 2nd place, putting Aston Martin in the shop window for me. But to be fair to Russell, he's performed better. He's matched me, so maybe both of us can do well from here. Who knows what Williams are going to be able to do. I feel like this may be a kind of, Saturday glory run, and it's not going to last long on Sunday, but I could be wrong. Let's see.
Welcome along, everyone, to sunny Spain, specifically to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. So many great moments in Formula One history have been written at this very track over the years, including Michael Schumacher's first win for Ferrari back in '96. That win was in the rain. We might have better weather here today, but we're just as overjoyed to be at the Spanish Grand Prix. It's an updated track at Catalunya, and the popular opinion in the paddock is that we never wanted the chicane in the first place. That's now been gone, the final corner is much faster, and at 2.9 miles and 14 turns, we await the Spanish Grand Prix. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. What a great lap from Alexander Albon yesterday. He'll start from pole position, and it's Fernando Alonso alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Ocon, a Mercedes, Russell, Perez, Leclerc, Norris, Verstappen, Stroll, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Hülkenberg, Tsunoda, Joe, Sainz, Hamilton, Ricciardo, Behrman, and Logan Sargent. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. And alongside me for this afternoon's commentary, Naomi Schiff. Good afternoon, Nose. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
So the very peculiar and mixed up grid wasn't enough. You'll see on the top left here as we go on the formation lap, we've also got a very mixed bag in terms of the starting tyres and potential strategies. So Ocon on the hards, I assume his teammate Albon will also be on the hards. So the pole sitter starting on hards. Williams maybe not remembering what they did on Saturday, because I feel like that would be a standard strategy for them if they're in the pack. But from pole, I'm a little bit annoyed that they haven't tried to go for it, at least on the medium tyre. We're on that tyre, along with Russell, Alonso and Perez on the soft. So a few people wanting to go very aggressive at the start, whereas I feel like we might be trying to go for a soft at the end of the race. Medium here, maybe a hard in the middle, depending on the tyre temp situation, which always is very tricky around here in Catalonia as we go to 5 red lights. A Williams on pole position, lights out, and away we go. It's a slow getaway for Ocon. It's actually a very decent one for the pole sitter. Albon is going to keep the lead into turn 1. We might get up into second place despite Alonso being on the soft compounded tyre. We got the better exit and we're able to sail into second place. Meanwhile, Ocon falling away down to P5 already. How long is Albon gonna keep P1? Especially now we're the one chasing him down. As I see Russell. Oh no, Russell! It's already begun. What is going on with George Russell in this season's Mercedes? Season 3 Russell is just absolutely in the bin. He's down to 7th place behind Leclerc now. Just really not what you need. Trying to fight some very strong constructors, guys, with 2 people scoring well, you know, at McLaren even, Ferrari, Red Bull, of course, equally matched as we now go for the move on Albon. Right now, we're not thinking about Russell, we're just thinking about our own race, and that is us into the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix. Early doors, lap 2, Albon down to second, and it's sad to say for him, I think this may be the beginning of the end. As soon as they chose to go on hards, there was no way they were going to be staying ahead of, you know, on paper, clearly quicker cars like ourselves, Aston, Ferrari, McLaren, all behind these Williams cars on quicker compound tyres. So there we go, Alonso now going for the move. Albon tried to maybe block him a little bit, but Alonso is clever enough to try and be on his toes and go from right to left and get the overtake done up into second place. And meanwhile, it's Russell v Lando Norris, the 2 fellow compatriots fighting side by side. Russell just about staying ahead for P6, but overall pace is eluding him, and right now pace in a straight line is going to be eluding me because we've got no DRS as P1. You are a sitting duck here at Catalonia into turn 1. Alonso on the inside, but we try our best to fight him back. The crowd is going to be going crazy right now because their hero, their home hero, could be into the lead of the race, using the soft tyre to good use. He needs to make the most of it before the tyre wear kicks in, and he is, because Alonso, look at how aggressive he goes, swiping across. I was not prepared for that. I thought I was going to have the room there on the left, to the point where I actually was worried I broke a bit of my front wing there. Alonso super aggressive, but we're going to pay him back the favour, and we're going to very quickly re-overtake him because, yeah, it doesn't matter how quick you actually are. If you have DRS and the car ahead of you doesn't, at Catalonia especially, you are absolutely toast. But that's just the name of the game on F1 24, unfortunately, because how many times has this happened? We've been swarmed by 3 cars. They've all got DRS. It's so powerful. There's no dirty air to stop them, and they all fly past me. To be honest, they're all on soft, so on purpose, I didn't bother fighting that any more than I, subtly tried to do, because they come in anyway on the very next lap, and they're on soft, so they're always going to be a bit quicker off the exits, but it was only a matter of time before they came in. But the problem is now for me, look at that front left tyre and the rear left tyre. Both are absolutely cooking. Yellow internal carcass temperature. Norris is now pit behind us. Russell is now the next car behind us. And remember how far he was? Yeah, he's caught up to us, and I actually let him by there on purpose, lifting off, because he's actually, ironically, after all of what I said about his pace and lack of pace, he's got more pace than me now, because my tyres are actually done, and he pulls over a second on me, having let him by. So that's, oh my Jesus. Right, we nearly decked it into the pit lane entry as well there. That was a catch and a half. That actually could have been a really embarrassing crash into the pit entry there. I'm quite happy we held that. But yeah, to say Russell had such a poor getaway and poor first 6 laps, by the last lap there of my stint, because the internal carcass temperature was so, warm, yeah, Russell was a second quicker than me on that lap. even though we've got probably the same tyre wear, but the AI just don't seem to feel the temperature on the internal carcass. They never have, you know. For quite a few years on the F1 game, it wasn't a thing anymore. When they first introduced internal temperature, you know, back on F1, was it 2018? It was a massive problem, just like this. Then for a couple of years, it went away because they kind of dampened the effects. And so, for whatever reason, they brought it back. And they brought it back in the exact same way it was, you know, here in the F1 game in 2018. You know, once that temperature goes, you are toast, which is why you can see I've gone on to the hard tyre. I was already contemplating it, but definitely the hard tyre is going to be a much quicker race tyre. Forget about it being the hard compound versus medium and soft. For me, versus the AI, it's going to be quicker than going on a medium. So as we now have some ground to make up, because we lost a fair bit of time just being so slow at the end of that medium tyre stint, we come out behind Russell, and we've got a lot of traffic here. Russell slots in ahead of Stroll. We're able to get a nice little bit of momentum going from the right to left. Get on the inside it was for turn 2 to the outside of turn 3. Had a little half-attempted look at Russell, but just thought we'll stick behind him and let him overtake Valtteri Bottas, and we'll try and go in for the move on him as well. DRS open for both us silver arrows. Green, green, green. Feeling much better on these hards, but a lot of work to do to try and climb back up the positions as, again, we do a copycat move to the one we did on Lance Stroll the previous lap. On the inside for turn 2, the outside for turn 3, and this time I will try and overtake Russell, but we fake to the right, go to the left, and we go on the outside and getting a bit of, PTSD from what Alonso did to me, squeezing me out there. This time, we're able to get the elbow out. We're able to command a bit of respect on that side of the circuit, and we don't get squeezed out by Russell. So even though I let him by on the previous stint because he was quicker, now not so much. I'm quicker now, so I'm not going to let him by. I'm not going to make it easy for him, and I actually want to go ahead and overtake more cars as we get tucked up right behind the McLaren of Lando Norris, again going for the outside move on Hulkenberg. But to my surprise, the Haas actually goes for the move to repass the McLaren, so we're kind of awkwardly stuck here, just waiting for the right opportunity to make an overtake. And Mark chooses the worst possible time to talk about the fuel loads midway through a battle as we almost lock up and deck it into Lando's rear wing. Thankfully not. We get up into P7, and now we're flying towards Lando Norris, both of us with DRS, but we've used a bit of battery on the exit of the last corner to really shoot ourselves forwards, and then we'll have a go at the other McLaren here. So we are clearly making up for lost ground on that medium tyre. It's going to be a double move maybe as we go for the move on Verstappen. Max is still there, side by side. The Red Bull gets the elbow out. It's a good move from Verstappen to retake that position because it wasn't really a move I was planning on, but we were going to go for it. But then Verstappen did very well to get the position back, but then equally I've now just got it back as we go down the inside there. But Perez, of all people, surprises me, and he actually dives it on me. So I've overtaken Verstappen there. Perez has decided to re-overtake me, so we have to go for the overtake on Checo for a second time in this race. Finally now up into third place, and now some clean air of about 7 seconds to see what we can do, and hopefully pulling away from Perez and trying to close the gap to these two, Leclerc and Alonso. Obviously Leclerc has a lot to prove. You know, he probably should have been going for the win last time out in Canada, but things fell away, so he'll want to win. He's yet to win this season. And Fernando Alonso, obviously his home race, he's going to want to win it for Aston Martin. I don't believe, have Aston won a race? I don't think they have either, so I think both are chasing their first wins of this season. They're both quite a bit away from me, and well, it's a bit of a sad sight there, just focusing on Ocon all the way down in P17, how the mighty have fallen from P3 earlier in the race on lap 1 as Fernando Alonso goes for the move and gets into first place there. Bit of a wobble on the rear end as he made the pass with DRS open, but he's got it as we now see lots of fighting actually going on between Russell and Verstappen. So Russell, having had a very slow start, he does actually look a bit quicker around here now, to be fair, so I'll give it to him. You know, maybe that qualifying pace was actually quite true, but now lap 21, everyone apart from me and Russell have made their pit stops. I'm going longer, of course, on the hard compound. I'm out of sync with everyone else. Russell isn't, and he's actually catching me. Again, I am feeling the tyre wear and the temperature issue on these hards, And it's deja vu. I'm going to let Russell by after turn 3 because, again, at this point, he is legitimately quicker. I don't want to hold him up because, you know, I wasn't lying at the start of the episode, even though Mark's telling me to overtake him. No, I'm not going to. I don't have the pace for it anyway, but I do genuinely want him and need him to start scoring more points. Like, he has scored 6 points. I've scored 64 so far going into this race. That's a bit ridiculous, you know, take into account the caliber of a driver that Russell is and should be here in the game. So yeah, bit of a piss take there. He comes in to the pits. We continue on because I'm trying to stretch this as much as we can in case of a safety car, but also just to give us enough tyre life on the softs. There was a yellow flag there, and I was really praying that Ocon there, retiring, so it's a really bad day in the office for Ocon, I was really hoping that he was going to cause a safety car. Alas, I'm not going to get so lucky. The F1 gods are not going to take the absolute piss on Alonso and Leclerc today, so I don't get a safety car to help me out. We come in then on the soft compounded tyre, so on purpose, I knew I was going to lose more time going longer. You know, we could have pit onto on lap 22 onto mediums, but I wanted to go onto soft tyres because I thought, hey, if every single tyre is going to overheat, I may as well do it on the soft tyre, you know, have a bit of fun, get a purple lap time. We've come out outside of the points. We're P11 on lap 25. We've got 8 laps to go. We're out of the points. Can we salvage this race on the soft tyres whilst everyone else is either on the hards or the mediums? Well, first of all, that has to start with a move on Tsunoda in the Toyota. Doing well, actually, to be in the points just about. Again, you know, I'm surprised, actually, of some of these drivers being up here. Hulkenberg, Stroll, Bottas, all in this pack. Where are some bigger players like Lando Norris? He's down in P12, although I must admit, I think I heard a radio call that he had a car issue. So I think that's why last race's race winner, Lando, is so slow out of the points right now. He's got a car issue, so that's clearly made him a lot slower here. And obviously the 2 Williams cars were in the top 10. They've fallen away with their horrendous strategy, so it's no wonder how people like the Audi of Bottas have got into the top 10. Tsunoda is trying to score a point for Toyota as we go for the double move on Stroll, looking to pass Bottas. We overtake both of them to get into clean air. Sainz sets the pass after the Grand Prix, but that won't last for long as we're now in clean air and we can get our head down. We set the new fastest lap of the Grand Prix on lap 27 and we fly past Checo for P6 and set our sights immediately on Max Verstappen.
For you. They've got an issue with their car, they're going to be slow.
And so it sounds like it's going to be Russell as well in one foul swoop. The horrendous season in luck that George Russell has been having so far here continues. He's now got a car issue, and looking at how slow Lando was, he's going to fall right down the order. With quite a few laps to go, Verstappen overtakes him, I overtake him. It's a double overtake for P4. You might be wondering, P4? Where's the other car come from? It's because Oscar Piastri is leading this race. Haas have actually pulled a blinder and they've thrown the dice, and fair play to them. A lot more brave than Williams were, having got pole. Yeah, Piastri going long on a one-stop, going to the end on his set of medium tyres. He was leading. Alonso now takes the lead. It was only a matter of time before he also gets overtaken by Leclerc because those two were so much quicker. But fair play to DHL Haas, you know, unlike Williams, who are now a P12 and a DNF. They actually tried something clever with his strategy to try and get some points. Piastri, at the moment, sitting in a podium. We're going to try and ruin that if we can. And then, oh my God. That is depressing. That is depressing. Russell getting done by 3 cars there on one straight. He's overtaken by Stroll, Lando. Tsunoda is P7 in the Toyota. Absolute blinder of a race Yuki's having. But Russell, I'm going to say it now, I think Bottas gets him. I think Albon gets him. I reckon Russell goes out the points by the end of the race. That's just how bad his season's been going. And to be fair, poor one out for Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz in this race, because both of them them out of the points in traffic the entire time, and pour one out for Piastri. Sorry, Oscar, we're going to ruin the podium for you and Haas, because even though my front left tyre is absolutely on fire, we managed to overtake him. We still have the pace on the soft compound to get him, and we do recover for third place. The third place we were holding on to the entire time, it seemed, since Alonso and Leclerc made their pit stop. But Fernando Alonso gets a home race win for Aston Martin Honda. Leclerc, consistent as ever, leading the championship, and for good reason. This guy has just been doing diligent work. He's not won a race yet and still leads the championship. Maybe this is finally Leclerc and Ferrari's season, huh? And to be fair to us, odds consistent, 2 back-to-back P3s, I'll take it.
Here comes the checkered flag. All eyes on the car approaching. Your winner today, Fernando Alonso.
And I just absolutely love the scenes of that in lap today. You could see how much this meant to the crowd, and you know that for the driver that's going to mean so much. You look up to the crowd and you know that the majority of them there are there for you today. So it was a great day to make it count.
Alonso gains ground in the championship standings. Leclerc still leads. We're 8 points off him. Today, we have to admit, Aston and Ferrari, especially Alonso and Leclerc, they were just quicker. They were. So the maximum we could have hoped for was P3. So I'm happy we maximised that with the soft tyre. It was a real fun stint at the end. So, yeah, again, we're carrying this team. Russell, 0 points. Me with the third place. My back is going to break at this rate. At this point, I really need Russell to just do something, for goodness sake. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.